Hey everyone, how you doing? My name is Dan and in this video I'll be sharing 5 tips, tricks and tools that you might not have used in Adobe Premiere Pro. Let's get straight into it. So are you a video editor looking to up your game and save time when you're editing in Adobe Premiere Pro? Well, if you are, you're in luck, because today we're going to be talking about 5 tools that you might not know about in Premiere Pro that can really take your editing to the next level and really save you a ton of time. So first up, we have the Multicam Editor tool. This is one of my favourite tools to use in Premiere because it's so quick and efficient to use, and it really does save you a ton of time. This tool is perfect for those times when you have multiple camera angles off the same scene and you need to switch between them seamlessly, exactly like you would do if you was vision mixing the shots live. This is great for interviews, live events and performances, as well as some sections of a wedding video, such as the speeches and the ceremony. The Multicam Editor allows you to sync up all of your camera angles and external audio streams and then easily switch between them with just a few clicks, with a super user-friendly interface. Let's have a look how to do this. So I've got a project set up in Premiere here, and this is from one of the weddings I shot recently. So the first thing you need to do when creating a multi-camera source sequence in Premiere is to import all of your assets into a bin. I've just got all mine here. Once you've done this, you can just right click on the bin and go down to create multi-camera source sequence. Now we've got a few ways of actually synchronizing the shots together. So we've got in and out points. So this is a more manual way of doing it. And this is great if you've got a clapperboard in your footage and your audio. Because I was at a wedding, I didn't have a clapperboard, so I'm not going to do the in and out points. Now, if you're on a more professional set, you might have time code rolling between all of your devices and they might all be synced up that way. Again, I wasn't. So for this one, I'm going to use audio just because I've got audio from my 2 camera sources and I've got the audio from the external wireless microphones as well. I can automatically sync them together in Adobe Premiere using the waveforms. It's really quick and efficient. So we're going to go with audio here. Now, when we're creating a multi-camera sequence, we don't really need to worry about these other settings at the moment. The only one I do like to have a look at though is this move source clips to process clips bin. So this is just a really nice indicator of what shots and assets have actually been synchronized together. Sometimes you'll do this and some won't sync together, so it's really useful to know which ones have and which ones haven't been synchronized. So I will check that one for now. I'm just going to hit OK, and Premiere is going to do its thing. So now we've got a multi-camera source sequence and we've got all the process clips here. So that's great because all of the shots have actually synchronized together, and there we go. Now, there's still a couple of things we need to do before we can actually get editing. All we need to do is drag the multi-camera sequence into a new sequence just by dragging it down to this little icon down here. And now we've got a multi-camera sequence. So at the moment, we're not seeing the multi-camera sequence, but that's fine. There's just a couple of buttons we need to click. So first of all, you need to click this multi-camera viewer, and we've got the record button, which I'll come on to in a sec. Now, if you've not got these 2 buttons, it's really important you have them. So if you just press this button editor tool here, it's a little plus symbol, and you just drag them down to your toolbar here. So we need the multi-camera viewer and the record button. Hit OK, and then you should have them there. Now, when you toggle the multi-camera viewer, you're going to see both shots exactly like you would if you was vision mixing live. So all you need to do now is hit record and press play. So when you hit record and press play, you have a little red box around the shot that is currently live, and then you can start to cut between the 2 different shots. It's all about showing the right emotions now at the right bit of time, and also cutting over any errors which you might have had live on set. But that's it really, so you just cut between the 2, and as you're doing that, you can see down here, if I zoom in, that's put the different cuts in. So you can now alter them if need be and tweak it and fine tune it. Maybe you're syncing to the beat or something like that. You can do this. So when you're playing it back, you might find you've got some errors. So maybe this shot, let's say there, that's not great at the end. So if you just go to your roll edit tool, which is N on the keyboard, you can just kind of put your playhead to where it's fine. And now, because this is multicam shot 1, this is multicam shot 2, we can just drag this over like that. So now we've just cut around that little reframe in the shot there, so it's not actually in the main production. The main thing to remember when you're doing a multicam edit is just to make sure record is activated. If it's not, you're not going to record any of your cutting, which can be a bit of a pain. So that's pretty much it for the Multicam Reviewer in Premiere Pro. It is an amazing tool and it definitely saves you a ton of time if you are working with multiple cameras. So next up we have the Essential Graphics tab in Premiere Pro. This is a game changer for those of you who want to add some extra creative flair to your videos, such as titles, lower third, and other graphics. The Essential Graphics panel allows you to easily create and customize professional looking graphics without having to leave Premiere at all. You can also make templates in After Effects that can be customized in Premiere. This is great if you want to customize maybe a name on a lower third or a title for a series of videos. And you can also sign up to websites such as Adobe Stock and Motion Array and browse through hundreds of these templates. And if you sign up to Adobe Stock, you get 10 free to begin with, so you can just get a feel for what it is offering. But there are some really great ones on there. So let's have a quick look at the Essential Graphics tab in Premiere. So it's not currently on the screen at the moment, that's fine. We just need to go to Window and go down to Essential Graphics, which is here. And then this is going to pop up. So this is how it looks to begin with. You can browse through all of these templates. Some of these are really great. Some of them you'll probably never ever use because they're just so cheesy. But you get nice simple lower thirds here. So we can just quickly pop this above this footage. And we've just got these lower thirds, which are very quickly being generated. We get all sorts of different ones. You get transitions, and you can customize all these with different fonts and things like that. But look at this, you just pop these down like this. There we go. You press play. It might be a bit slow because I'm currently recording the screen as well. But there you go, with fade on, they fade off. And like I said, you can customize them. If you just click on them and go, make sure the edit tab is selected up here in the Essential Graphics tab. You can just go through all the different ones. If you just double click on the main title up here, we can rename this. So we can suitable name. Oops, there we go. So if you just double click subtitle as well, this could perhaps be his job title. And then we can change the font of these as well. So let's just go back to this one. Maybe we'll make this into this one I quite like. And maybe we'll do the same for the job title as well. So then we can start to move everything around as a whole. So if you just click off these titles, just click in the darker grey bit here, and then you get your global transform control. So we can just move the lower thirds maybe to here or here. We can scale them up a little bit. There we go. And now when we watch this, we've got a very quick lower third generated. Now, like I said, there are tons of these available online with lots of different websites, but they are really quick for just making your videos stand out. But let me just quickly show you how to install one from online as well, just in case that's a route you want to go down. Like I said, you get 10 free credits for signing up to the trial. We'll go to templates up here and we'll just search for lower third. And most of these now which pop up are going to be Premiere lower thirds. It tells you the software which they belong in just down here. And when you just hold your mouse over these videos, it shows you roughly what's going on. So for this one, this looks quite cool. Maybe we'll have a quick look at this. So we'll just license this. Once it's downloaded, it's going to be a MOGRT file, a motion graphic file, motion graphic template, I think actually. And we can then import that into Premiere. So all we need to do is press this button down here and then navigate to that downloaded file, which is here. Just double click it and then let me just double check what it was called. Social media. So we'll just search that up here now. And there it is. So we can just drag this down onto here. Really quick important thing to mention is the style selection. So sometimes when you download a template online, they'll have different style selections, and this is just a different look for the lower third or title you've generated. But I just recommend if you do download a template online, just have a look to see the different styles, because you might find one you really like. Whilst you're on the Adobe Stock website, if you click on the template, it should play through the different animation styles on here as well, so you know what you're going to get before you actually download it. So that's pretty much it for the Essential Graphics tab in Premiere. There is so much more you can do in there, but we'll leave it at that for this video. And if you are liking this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you are really liking it, please leave a comment with your favorite tool in Premiere Pro. So now let's have a quick look at the next tool, which will be the Project Manager tool. Now this might not be the most exciting tool in the world, but it's definitely one of the most useful, especially when you get into the end of your project. There are two main ways of using the Project Manager tool in Premiere. The first of them is to collect and copy all of your footage into a single location, which is great for organization and sharing your project with other editors. The other way of using this is consolidating and transcoding your footage, which is great for archiving your projects and only saving the assets you definitely need to open the file again if you ever need to come back and look at it. So let's have a quick look at both of these in action in the Project Manager tool in Premiere. So I've got a very basic timeline set up here. We're going to go to File and Project Manager. So when we open the Project Manager tool, this is what we're going to see. Now the Project Manager works with sequences. So if you only want to project manage certain sequences, this is where you select the ones you want to work with. So we've got these resulting projects here. So we've got collect files and copy to a new location. So like I was saying earlier on, this is great if you want to organize your files. Maybe you've got into that bad routine whilst editing where you've got some files saved to your desktop, your downloads folder, an SSD drive, and it can be quite hard to, just find where everything is. And let's say you want to open this project on another machine or send it to another editor, it's then going to be quite complicated to find all those files. So this just makes sure everything is in one easy to find location, ready to open up no matter where you are in the world. So that's that. We've got a couple of options here. The main one being exclude unused clips. Now, be careful with this one because if you want to pass your files to somebody else, they might want to see the unused clips, they might want to add them into the project. But if they definitely don't need them, just exclude that here. The main thing with the Project Manager tool here is organization, but also kind of managing the storage you're using as well. What's the point of keeping all this unused footage if you know you're 100% never going to use it? Down here, we've also got destination path. So this is where all of the assets are going to be saved into. So for now, I'll just do it on desktop, new folder, and we'll call it Project. God, it'd be great if I could type, wouldn't it? Project Manager here. Hit choose, and then it's just going to collect all of those files into that particular folder. You can also calculate how big the resulting folder is going to be. So my original project was 155 gigabytes, but doing this is going to drop it down to 96 gigabytes, which is a 30% saving, which is pretty good. So once you're happy with this, you just hit OK. Premiere is going to save the project again, just to make sure it's saved, and then it's going to copy all of your assets into this folder, ready for sharing. So next up, we've got the consolidate and transcode option. This is another way of organizing and managing storage. So what this does is it takes all the shots you've used in your edit and it converts them to a different format. Now there's numerous benefits of this. Number one is storage management. Number two is if you're working with lots of different cameras, maybe you're working with a GoPro, a Canon, maybe a Sony as well, they're all going to be recording different file types. So what this is going to do is just make sure all the cameras are the same file type, and then if anyone ever opens a project again, it's going to be the same file type, and it should be a little bit easier on the processor to use. There are different formats to use here. So we've got the QuickTime format, which I tend to use with the 422 ProRes HQ codec. This just makes sure I've got all the bitrate I need, and I know if I pass my file to another editor, they're most likely going to be able to open QuickTime files. Now again, we've got a couple of different options here available to us. We've got exclude unused clips. That's exactly the same as before, but this time we've got something different. We've got include handles. Now handles are really, really cool and super useful for this type of thing. So every cut we've got down here, there's probably some footage before and after that cut. So so we've got all this footage here, and if I expand this the other way, we've also got more footage on that side of things as well. Now this might not be the case for all your shots, but for the majority of shots this probably is true. So what a handle is those extra bits on the side of the cut. So a client might come back unexpectedly when a project has been signed off, and they might say they want you to lengthen this particular clip. If you hadn't included handles, you wouldn't be able to do that. So I tend to go either 75 frames or 100 frames, or even 50 frames sometimes, and that gives me 2 to 4 seconds of handles. So it just gives me reassurance that if I ever do open this project again, I've got little areas that I can tweak without having to go back to the original footage. Again, we can just browse to where we want to save the file to, so I'll just use that same folder. We can calculate the new file size. Now sometimes it's going to be a little bit bigger depending on the codec you use. Now if you're finding that one of these presets is going to be taking up too much storage for your archive purposes, drop it to a lower version. So if you're on 422 HQ, you've got 422 and 422 lower transmission to try as well. So we'll give LT a try. So that's going to drop it down to 2.4 gig, which is really good. But again, you're sacrificing a bit of your bit rate and a bit of your quality there. You've got a couple of different options here. So you've got your renamed media files to match your clip names. So if you've renamed any of your files in Premiere, it's going to rename the resulting file that's been generated that as well, which is quite handy. And you've got a couple of others that you can look at here if you want to. So I'm just going to press OK, and that's going to start this project. And it's just going to make sure all of the shots used are ready for archive purposes. But that's pretty much it for a quick overview of the Project Manager tool. Now let's have a quick look at tool number 4. So the next tool we've got is the Essential Sound tab. Like the Essential Graphics tab, there is so much you can do here to improve your audio. So much so that I can't cover everything in this quick overview. Today I want to focus on the music tag to show you how to automatically duck your music when your dialogue or sound effects are playing. Again, if you've not got the Essential Sound tab here, you just need to go to Window at the top here, and Essential Sound is here. Now when I was saying earlier on about tags, this is what I meant. So you can tag your audio as dialogue, music, sound effects or ambience, and each one of these has different parameters to then change. First thing we need to do here is we need to tell Premiere what our dialogue is. So this is the same project that I had for the previous tool, the Project Manager. So what we can do here now is we can select these two bits of audio. So that's for pieces to camera, our main bit of audio. And I've already tagged this as dialogue. Now I'm going to do the same here for the music track. So I'm just going to tap on music this time. Now let me quickly show you how to duck the audio when there's some dialogue playing. Now the old way of doing this was you used to get your pen tool, you'd zoom in, you'd place a couple of keyframes at the start and then at the end of the dialogue, and then the same here, and then I probably don't need them here, but we'll put them there anyway. Then you drag the music down like this, maybe to something like -27, I don't know. I like it around there, but it depends on the song and it depends on, you know, your personal editing style. So if you look how kind of, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but matching these to be the same is quite difficult. Making sure the fades are the same length and exactly the length they need to be. It's not complex, but it just takes time and it's quite fiddly. And again, we're just trying to save as much time as possible whilst we're in Premiere Pro. I'm just going to go to this window here. So we've got ducking. So I'm just going to duck it against the dialogue because I've not got any sound effects in this particular project. I'm just going to alter the sensitivity a little bit just because I don't need it to be that high with this particular project anyway. The duck amount, so this is where I can quickly set it to be -27 dB and I don't have to worry about matching it with the different pieces to camera. It's all a lot easier and much more quicker now. For the fade duration, I'm just going to leave that where it is, and also the fade position. Next up, you just have to generate keyframes. And this is what we've got. So Premiere has very quickly put this, pretty much the exact same keyframes in a very short amount of time. And if you've got a long project that you're working on, maybe it's 10 minutes long, and you've got lots of pieces where music comes in and comes out and you've got dialogue, this will save you a ton of time. So that's pretty much it for the music tag in the Essential Audio tab. It is a really cool workspace to have a bit of a play around with, and if you do have the time on your next project, I'd definitely recommend seeing what you can do there. So now let's move on to the final tool. So the final tool we've got is the Rate Stretch tool. This is a very simple but again powerful tool that allows you to change the speed of a clip by either stretching it to be slower or compressing it to play quicker. So this is great for creating both slow motion and time-lapse effects. So I've got the same project set up here where we can use this tool. We all know if we right click and go down to speed and duration, we can pretty much change the speed of the shot. So we can make this play back at twice the speed at 200%. And there we've kind of got like a time-lapse kind of effect going on. That's fine. That's a great way of doing it, but it's not very accurate for kind of fitting things into the exact space they need to go. This is a time-lapse off the Etihad in Manchester, and as you can see here, it's not fitting into the gap here. Now that's fine, but I want this shot to actually play a little bit quicker anyway, so this is what we can do. So in the same place where the Remix tool was found in the last tool, we've also got the Rate Stretch tool. And all you do now is drag this shot. So now that's going to play back even quicker. If I go to Command and R, we can see that's actually changed the speed to 113%. Let me just show you this with a different example as well. So pop this on here as well. So again, this shot is longer than it needs to be. So now I can just use the Rate Stretch tool to play it back even quicker, which is fine for this particular time lapse anyway. and we can see this has actually changed to 173%. So this is all about just fitting things into your timeline to the exact length you need to be very quickly. Now this can work the opposite way as well. So this is also really useful if you actually need to lengthen a shot as well. Let's say here we've got all these markers for cutting on the beat of the music, and let's see what this shot is. Oh, it's not graded at the moment, but here we go. So we've got this nice shot of walking into this bride and groom. So for this example, let's just pretend that this shot was this length of time, and it's not going to quite make it to the next edit point in our sequence, which is fine because we've got the rate stretch tool. Because this footage was shot at 50 frames a second, it means I can slow it down by half without losing any quality, and it's still going to play back smoothly. And we've actually only slowed it down by 72%. If we go lower than 50%, that's when the stuttering is going to start appearing and the footage is going to start looking a little bit funky and a bit strange. But I hope you can see how useful this tool could potentially be if you've got all your markers down for cutting on the beat of your music. So then you can kind of just fine tune the duration and the speed of all your shots just to make sure they hit perfectly and they fit perfectly on all these key moments. So that's pretty much it for the rate stretch tool, and these are just a few of the many tools available in Premiere Pro that can really take your editing to the next level and save you a ton of time. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, there's always something new to learn, and these tools are a great place to start. Happy editing, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.